I don't think many people know what Deep Book is as a protocol, so we'll 如果我说的太快，你跟我说，I'll speak a bit slower. Um, 听不懂的Chris 可以翻译。So, 我现在so I actually have a follow along as an example on GitHub that I can send out later for you guys to try what how to use DeepBook as a protocol. And this is the repo. It's public for everyone. So what is DeepBook? DeepBook is basically a fully on-chain order book, and you can buy and sell whatever assets that you want on all on the blockchain. Most order books exist on either centralized exchanges or you have decentralized exchanges like Turbos or Cetus. Those exchanges use an algorithm called an automatic market maker or AMM. And it's largely inefficient. If you actually look at how much money Uniswap has made in the past year, only 3 pools are really popular or profitable, namely Ethereum and USDC, Ethereum Bitcoin, and USDC Bitcoin. All the other pools have impermanent loss. So DeepBook as a fully on-chain order book will address this type of issue because market makers can input smart algorithms and have better control on the changes. So what does DeepBook construct of? It's mostly, namely 3 packages on Move. We have the CLOB, which is the matching engine. So it's the central limit order book. And this package handles all the orders when someone puts a limit order to buy, sell, or also puts in market orders. And then we also have a data structure called the cryptbit tree, which is used to store the orders itself. It is a prefix tree called a trie, if people are familiar with it. I don't know how to say that. And then there's also a package called the custodian, which handles the account balances and locks your balance if you place limit orders, so you can't steal money from DeepBook or other users. So this is an example of Kriya as DeepBook. Have you guys used Kriya before? Only one. Okay, 2. Yeah, so DeepBook basically is the engine that creates this. This is the order book that is created. So I helped launch this with our market makers to provide the liquidity for Sui and USDC ETH on DeepBook. In this case, Sui is the base asset, and then USDC Ethereum is the quote asset. And I can explain more how this mechanism works. So I think in order to really understand DeepBook, we need to understand how the package works in Move. We should learn how to create such a limit order book in Move. And the first primitive is the custodian cap permission model. So every account that signs up with DeepBook or tries to trade with DeepBook has to mint an NFT or mint like an account cap. And that account cap address, so the example here is like my address is AAA. I go to DeepBook and I create a new address, and that address might be ABCD or some other object ID. DeepBook does not store your personal address, but it stores account caps. And in this way, you can actually trade in parallel because I can have multiple account caps because these are objects that are public. If you only use your address, then it is you can't trade in parallel, basically. And we can see that there's an account balance stored for each of these. So example here is the ABCD. Well, DeepBook knows I have 5 Sui. You deposit and then you lock the balance, and the balance gets transferred to this table that exists within the DeepBook package or the DeepBook smart contract.
So you mean we need to deposit balance into account?
So you don't deposit into the account. The function header looks something like this. So you can place a limit order. An account cap is an object that's an NFT that is passed in. And you inside this function, there will be a transfer function where it takes the balance of the Sui coin. Let's say you put in like a Sui coin and then you specify the pool, and that gets transferred to DEE9. So there is a table that exists there. Yeah, because otherwise people can place order but not have money, which is, yeah. And this model, I think, is something that can be used in a lot of dApps. So example is, this could not just be an account cap, this could be an NFT. For example, if you wanted to create any of the dApps that you guys are making now, but special people or people with NFTs, like the Tails with Typus NFT, can call these functions or they get a specific discount. This is also largely the same model that you would use to write it in Move. So we kind of go over basic, how does CLOB work? Has everyone traded stocks before or traded? Is everyone familiar? Every exchange is that okay? 所以你们都明白看 Okay, cool. I don't know if people know or don't know. So yeah, in this case, you have like the sell orders, right? Like it's something like 10,000 orders at 50 or 45 cents. We can take this kind of example and move on. So what happens to this book if I place like a market order to buy 15 Sui? So we can see that the top bids of the matching engine have 5 at 42 cents and then also 10 at like 42 cents. And if we market by 15 Sui, then those orders are matched by the Deep Book order book engine, and this all happens in one transaction. And yeah, you get 6. Then the person who there's a idea in Deep Book of maker and taker addresses, so there has to be 2 parties to every transaction. In this case, the person who puts up these orders are called maker. They're the maker address, and you can see that in the Deep Book events. The maker address would get transferred 6.332 USDC because we filled these orders, and then the person who placed the order for Sui would get transferred 15 Sui back. Yeah. So this is also how it would change in the base custodian. How Deep Book, earlier we talked about the custodian model, and Deep Book actually has 2 custodian tables. So there's one for your base assets and one for your quote assets. So you manage that type of separation. So this is another way to store multiple assets within a single smart contract. And you can see that let's pretend that the AAA address, I was like the maker, so I would get 15 Sui credited to the balance. In order for a user to take their balance and use this, you have to call withdraw function to take it out of the table and get it transferred. So yeah. So this is like what the person who placed the order, and then this is what would happen after, because I got transferred the USDC. Cool. Yes, every time you create a pool, you would get like a table. Or every pool has 2 tables because there's 2 asset pairs. Yeah. So some of the things that I think right now that Deep Book actually supports, it supports base assets of it can support assets of any type, actually. So it's not just currencies, because everything in Sui is kind of compostable. We can actually do some very interesting things with Deep Book, because I think you can actually trade NFTs, or you could get like partial NFTs or stuff like that, depending on how you create an object.
So it's information
everyone can create. It costs 100 Sui to create a pool on mainnet. 100 Sui, yeah. And that 100 Sui is burned permanently. So no one, Mistin does not keep any of the fees. We don't have access. So if you take a look at the smart contract, it just disappears. Yeah. Well, ideally we should have access, but it's yeah. But Deep Book also charges 10 basis points between maker and taker, I think. So how much is a basis point? Or like in Chinese? Sure. It's 0.0001 is 1 basis point. Or 0.01% is 1 basis point. Yeah. So Deep Book charges 10 basis points for transaction fees, which also get burned. Mistin does not keep any of it. So I actually had like some examples using the SDK and client. So if I can send it out the link if you guys want to try or run the script. What I had previously in mind was we could create like a trading game and you guys could trade right now. But I didn't code the UI because I was lazy. So yeah, sorry guys. I had a big idea, but it wasn't too fun. But what I wanted to do is like create this game where you could trade like gold, fish, gold and wood, and gold and iron. Because I really like the game RuneScape, but I don't know if people really know what that is. Yeah. I will send out I'll run through it and then I can share the CLI a little bit. So it just kind of walks through like the create custodian cap, all this stuff. And this like creates the account, right? You pass in the address that you want, and then Deep Book you execute the transaction, and Deep Book would send you some account cap. This is an example. You gotta just run through these. Limit orders is also very similar. So in this case, like after the pool ID is created from the transaction, you get this pool ID, and then you can deposit into the pool. Do you think it would be better if I just ran the code? Or what's better? Okay. Okay. And then we can also go ahead and check like how you view the front end specifically. Deep Book has these two functions called get level 2 book status, which returns the price, and then how deep that liquidity is also returns a depth. So how many units you buy. In this case, a unit is the decimal precision for the asset. So Sui has 9 decimal precision, but USDC only has like 6 decimal precision. So it returns that. Yes. It's just like the term for the order book. It's actually earlier at the start of the slides. That is the level 2 view where you have price and depth view. I have no clue. I know there's level 2, level 3. I don't even know what level 3 is. Yeah. No. This is just the traditional like stocks. It's not a term related to Cryptid. Yeah.
Subscribe the
Oh, can you subscribe the orders? Yeah. There is a WebSocket too. Yeah.
so
The time interval would be however long it takes to execute a transaction on Sui. And execution on Sui, I believe, is 3 seconds to finality. Or no, 3. Well, what's our execution layer speed? Shared object. Yeah, so Deep Book is because everything is the pools are shared objects. It actually takes 3-4 seconds probably. I think 3 to 4 seconds is on average.
so you need uh, if 10 user they order in this timing or batch and update that
I think how it works is whichever comes first. Yeah, it's not whatever node. I guess whatever node executes faster. Yeah, it should be that. Um, yeah. So I guess like the question here is like why deep book, and I kind of went into it a little earlier. It's just like the transactions are all fully on chain. You can build like an on chain game for your economy. That's some of the ideas that we have. Um, I think the old game was like DeFi Kingdoms, if people ever played on Harmony. Terrible game, but you know, people made a fair bit of money on it. In this way, you can have a lot more control over the supply as well, because the developers or like you as the creator can control what supply goes in, and you can use your own in-game assets to buy out supply as well, or do like some interesting things. Um, 对，看到吗？OK，the 呃 OK 可以。Yeah. So this would be like the pool ID and the gold asset created, and then the fish that's created. And then you can see the order books of the orders that were placed. I placed an order of just one. Um, and the way that the order works is it's a tree data structure. So it's really fast lookups for the actual order. But yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, we can go ahead and kind of see like this kind of price level. And I also have examples of how to view um, the deep book view as well. So if you're interested in like the code or seeing how to run, there's a couple way there are two ways I went to build the order book locally in the code if it ever executes. But this basically just pulls from testnet directly. But yeah, that's my talk. uh, wow, it's really slow. But yeah, this is like the price level. Like there's a depth of two. Same different way, same ways to view. This is just pre-printed for the level. This would be like what the level 2 order status looks like. And then this is just the direct data structure from DeepBook itself. There's a couple nuances in DeepBook where it's really hard is if we have over 1,000 orders, because there's a limit in move where you can't load over 1,000 dynamic objects or take up too much compute, because otherwise one of the original like hacks that we had for DeepBook that was submitted for ImmuneFi for a bug bounty was someone actually crashed DeepBook by jamming, like creating 10,000 fake orders. And then every time the matching engine would try to iterate through those orders, the matches stop matching because you have to load the orders. But we fixed this bug. So yeah. Um, no, they're still fake orders. You can put up fake orders. That's okay. But we added pagination. So if you won't go through all of them, or you do like partial completion, so the book won't stop. Yeah. But yeah, okay. That's any questions? So the limitation comes in two things. It could be dynamic object, but it could also just be like there's a couple things in the Sui protocol config in terms of limits. It could be computation for the amount of bytes that you load in a single transaction. It could hit like the gas, like exceed too much.
So there's no limitation of the number of dynamic.
I think there is for anything. This is why typists also had problems, right? So typists had to start pagination because with OKX, they had maybe 10,000, 20,000 people sign up with 0.1 Sui, and then they couldn't settle their options contract. So similar type of bug here. Or it's not really a bug, just like we can't let someone try to execute a transaction that does not stop.
Yeah. If the storage is okay, like this, the object is there, you just have to settle that.
Yeah, the object is there. Yeah. It's I believe it's a yeah. So you can always add to the structure, but settling is a little difficult or tricky.
accepted by the
Deep Book?
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys tell me what does Deep Book? So the only community people I know that is building on top of Deep Book and I am working with is Korea. So we work quite closely to try to launch Deep Book. And before, I also worked with Aftermath, Cetus, because they all did the smart routing or the smart routers or the DEX aggregator. So if you use Turbos or Aftermath, sometimes it routes through Deep Book, and sometimes Deep Book gives really good prices comparative to other ones. I don't think community really knows a lot about Deep Book because we did two things. Like one, there was like the MoveX issue, and then the second thing is we didn't really advertise Deep Book as much as we could have, I think. One really cool thing about Deep Book is there's an MEV bot that you guys can run. Right now, I think you can make 0.5 Sui. so the orders that get created, there's an idea of expiration. So, because when you can put up an order that expires in 5 minutes or expires in 10 minutes, it uses the clock, right? And if the order is expired, anyone can delete your order. So you can get the rebate, the gas rebate for deleting an order, so to prevent the issue that I talked about earlier that clogs up Deep Book. So we also created an example bot that you can run to make some Sui, but I think it was like 0.5. We actually left it up, so any community member wants to grab some Sui.
Like if I have placed a lot of orders on the people, but these orders are cancelled later.
Mhm.
Then that will cost me some gas, and that gas is a permanent loss.
Yes.
Permanent loss for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do the people incentivize the people like me?
Well, so do you know what the basis points for a DEX is? So Deep Book takes 10 basis points, right? And you can also have better algorithms for market making. If you use Cetus or Turbos or Kriya, any of them, they easily take 30 basis points. They all take 30 basis points. So it's just more expensive. Yeah. I mean,
So the 10 basis point goes,
it's burned.
where?
It's burned. Yeah. So Deep Book is supposed to be a public good. So we just wanted to use it. This doesn't actually exist on any other chain right now. DYDX is like partially, like part of their matching engine is off chain, right? It's not on chain. They have other stuff running.
And it's a great fit for the on-chain.
Yeah. That's my idea. I think on-chain gaming makes a lot more sense for it, and then it's less like risk or like not that much money. So even if people mess up, it's okay. I think it's really hard if you're not a market maker to put up the required amount of money to make Deep Book good or usable. I think the average Deep Book volume right now is 24K US a day, which is just not that much. So ideally, my ideas is we want to like shift just to make Deep Book more popular. And there's a couple things that we will be doing, like adding Deep Book as a swap option in the wallet. So you can just swap Sui to USDC and wallet. Yeah.
So is the pool
What do you mean? Yeah, every you could technically have duplicate pools, but you shouldn't, right? But yeah, every pool is unique.
Yeah, because for example, in the game, for people that asset A, asset B, the user A creates a pool for asset A. The user B also creates a pool for asset A.
Yes, but if there already exists a pool, then you don't want to create a pool, right? Because you're paying 100 Sui for no reason. That pool is not owned by anyone. The pool is a shared object. So there's no point in creating another one.
The user just Safari.
No. I think you need to go through and look for the pool IDs.
So
Yeah.
maybe there is some fake pool.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. But the thing is the pools always have the types in them. So you always have the coin type. So you should just double check what you're swapping. Because there could be fake Uniswap pools or fake all of those exist, right?
Yeah. Uniswap.
Because you can put fake coins.
Yeah, but maybe the same coin address and coin name. Yeah, Uniswap checks.
Oh, okay, yeah. Deep Book does not check if the pool already exists. You can create infinite, I think. Yeah. Maybe that's a suggestion if we want to put it on our roadmap to add it. I'm the only person that writes Deep Book with so if you want something implemented, yeah, I'll finally work. Yeah, something like that. Oh, cool, great. You guys can all use it. In Deep Book, yeah. But you can spread that, right? Just by making different accounts, different wallets, and disguise it. You can have some smart order routing, or like smart routing, and disguise your trades. It's the same issue in all the other things too, right? Like if you trade in Bloomberg terminal or you trade on a normal stock exchange, everyone knows who is trading what. Yeah, it's still your company ID is associated with it. So like if Goldman is trading or like Jump is trading, they know who is making the trades, unless you use dark pools. But dark pools is a whole different thing. But yeah.
So do you think maybe suppose I'm debt owner, I have my own phone and I use people or AMM. If I use AMM, I just put money into it and I
Mhm.
but in people maybe I do some.
You would have to write the market maker bot. Yeah. So it depends on what the goal of your project is, right? So I think one of the other ways that Depot could be used is like ICO. So a small project owner that's trying to launch their coin for initial sale doesn't really want to use AMM, because if you use an AMM, there's so much volatility, right? But if you use Deepbook, you could just set an order wall, like a sell like 10,000 units at like $1 or whatever price, and that price never changes. Whereas AMM, people will buy or sell up the curve. You see many projects launch where there's some airdrop, right? Because you need airdrop, and people just come and immediately sell everything into AMM, and you just lose everything, right? So there's the advantages and disadvantage of both. You're right, AMM, a lot less work, but Deepbook is a little more work, but I think you get a lot more control over pricing and supply, because you can just pull the supply, right? But I guess AMM, you can technically do it. I think the new V4 AMMs are a little better because you can tighten the range and control that. But yeah. You get a maker rebate. You get 15 points back. Yeah, so to put up maker, it's quite generous, I think.
It's not developed the people.
Chris too. Chris too. He hasn't written move code, but Chris wrote the SDK for Deepbook.
I want the give the distance time
If I don't quit. Sam also writes Deep Book. So, but Sam doesn't want to work on it anymore. So he DM'd me one day and was like, "Hey, Jen." Yeah, yeah. So Chris, yeah. So it's not me, then Chris, and then one more, Patrick. Yeah. Well, we do want to support Deep Book in a long-term vision. So, like I said, if you guys have any ideas on what to do, more than happy to help out. Just message me on Telegram. Okay. Cool.